Hello, hello. How are you? My name is Aisling. You're very welcome. I'm here today to talk about books. We're going to fly through this today, hopefully. So we have hit the end of July, believe it or not, and I am going into my August TBR. I have felt a little bit kind of under pressure this month in particular, just with the idea of my TBR, and then kind of like I say it all the time, I am nothing if not a mood reader. And sometimes when I do TBRs, I feel kind of a bit locked down. And this month I've been like, oh, well, I wanted to read this and I wanted to read this. And I've just been reading different things and then feeling like, oh, well, maybe I didn't read what I said I was going to read. And that's okay. So these books that I'm about to talk about are going to be primarily just kind of ideas, suggestions, might not read any of them, but we're going to get cracking. So the first one I'm going to mention is one that is number 4 in a series that I've been reading. So if you've kind of been following along with me for a while, I've been reading the Mortal Instruments books, and the next one that I have to read is City of Fallen Angels, and I'm not going to talk about it too much. We follow Clary Frey. She finds out that she's a shadow hunter, so she hunts demons, etc. She grows up knowing none of this. She lives in New York City. She's a teenager. There's kind of a gang of teenagers that are also shadow hunters, and we just follow their adventures. It's a sequel. I can't speak too much on it, but I'm looking forward to getting into it. So next we have The Living Sea of Waking Dreams by Richard Flanagan. And this might seem like a little bit out of left field for me because I've been reading so much fantasy lately, but I think that's probably why. I feel a little bit of contemporary buzz coming back over me again. This book has been on my shelf for quite a while. I don't know anything about it except for what it says in the blurb. It sounds a bit magical realism-y, possibly. I'll read you the blurb. So, in a world of perennial fire and growing extinctions, Anna's aged mother is dying. If her 3 children would just allow it, condemned by their pity to living, she increasingly escapes through her hospital window into visions of horror and delight. When Anna's finger vanishes and a few months later her knee disappears, Anna too feels the pull of the window. She begins to see that all around her others are similarly vanishing, but no one else notices. All Anna can do is keep her mother alive. But the window keeps opening wider, taking Anna and the reader ever deeper into a strangely beautiful novel about hope and love and orange-bellied parrots. Doesn't that sound really unusual? Doesn't that sound like something that we've never read before? And I think that's why I'm finding myself quite drawn to this book. I've been reading a lot of young adult fantasy, and after a while I guess some of it does start to feel a little bit sameish. I'm just going to read you the first line or two in this because I just think it's really interesting. So it starts out with 1, her hand. 2, it's impossible to say how the vanishing began, or if it was already ended, thought Anna. Or for that matter, how to begin. Whether it's about me or her or him, whether it's she or we or you, whether it's now or then or sometime soon. And not having even the right voice, tense pronoun, makes it so much harder, perhaps even impossible. Were words, as Francie pointed? Well, were they what? So that sounds quite like something that I'm feeling right now. I don't really know what I feel in the mood for, but we're just going with it. Next, we have a book that has an absolutely beautiful cover. It is called The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, and it's by Axie O. And I actually came across this book on Victoria's channel over at English Rose Reads, and she read this and it just sounded like something that was really nice. And yes, okay, we're going back into fantasy a bit, but it's more to do with mythology, and I believe this one is related to Korean mythology, but again, I know very little about it, so let's read the blurb. Everyone in Mina's homeland knows the legend that when the sea god meets his true bride, he will end the deadly storms that have ravaged them for generations. So every year a beautiful maiden is sacrificed to the sea, and every year the storms return. When her brother's beloved is chosen, Mina knows the loss will cripple him, and at the last moment she throws herself into the water instead. Swept away to the magical spirit realm, she comes face to face with the sea god trapped in an enchanted sleep. The only way to save her people is to help him, but Mina doesn't have much time. A human cannot live long in the land of the spirits, and there are those who would do anything to keep the sea god from waking. The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea is a magical feminist retelling of a classic Korean legend, perfect for fans of Uprooted and Miyazaki's Spirited Away. And maybe I'm just in a bit of a mood for something a bit Miyazaki-ish. So it just sounds really delightful, and I'm really looking forward to reading it, if I get around to it. Next we have Bitterthorn. No, we don't. Next we have Bitterthorn. The Irish came out in me there, loud and proud. And this book is by Kat Dunn. And all I really have heard about this book, again, it's a fantasy. It is about a community who sacrifice a girl to a witch once a generation, and I have heard this is a sapphic novel. Again, I actually know very little about this, but I just heard about it on the Book Leo's channel, and I just felt like it might have been a bit of a cozy fantasy. I feel like I'm kind of in autumn mode in that, so I live in Ireland, and normally our summers are very touch and go, but this year in July it has rained every day as far as I can make out, like literally every day. And I'm just feeling all the kind of autumn feelings, and I just want the evenings to be darker. I want it to get colder. I just want it to be cozy inside and not hot anymore. And I just feel myself veering towards this kind of book. So again, I'm not too sure about the premise of this book, so I'm going to read it, the blurb to you. So, once a generation, the witch claims a companion from the town of Blumwald, never to be seen again. Now that time is drawing near once more, Mina, daughter of the Duke, another Mina, coincidence, has lost all hope of any future in Blumwald. So when the witch appears, Mina offers herself up, though she has no idea what fate awaits her. Stranded with her darkly alluring captor, the mystery of what happened to the previous companions draws Mina into the heart of a terrifying secret. So maybe saying that it's sapphic is a bit of a spoiler, but that's kind of what I hear about it when I look it up, so that's what you're getting. I'll let you know how we get on with it. I feel like I probably will definitely get around to this one this month. I think it has a really nice colour as well, nice cover. I can't word this evening, excuse me. I guess that I'm still kind of in that kind of fantasy mode, and it's probably not going to go away anytime soon. I have been feeling though, as I just said, like really in the mood for something kind of cozy, and I came across this book randomly in a bookshop, and I just thought it sounded really nice and like something that I would love. And it is a romance, but I think it's a fantasy romance. So I read some reviews in which people were saying that this book is like a Disney film, and I'm just in the mood for that, you know. I just want something nice and easy and gentle, something that's gonna take care of me. So the next one we have is Twin Crowns by Catherine Weber. Two sisters, one crown. Princess Rose Valhart is heir to the throne of Aina. Trained from birth to fear the witches that killed her parents, she will do anything to defend her kingdom. Stolen from the palace at birth, Wren Greenrock is a secret sister no one knows about. She plots to usurp the princess in order to protect the witches of Ortha who raised her. In the battle for the crown of Aina, where will your allegiance lie? Well, I'm about to find out, because I reckon this is probably going to be another book that I'm definitely going to get myself around to, so watch this space. And surprise, surprise, we're going back for another contemporary one. So this is a book that has been on my shelf for a very long time. It is Unsettled Ground by Claire Fuller, and isn't that cover lovely? This book, from what I recall, is about two adult siblings who live together with their mother, and they're not best prepared for the outside world. Something happens to their mother. I believe she dies unexpectedly. I don't really know how or what the story is. This is about the children she leaves behind and how they navigate their world. I've heard it's quite a gothic kind of story, and on the front it actually is blurbed by the Times as a latter-day Daphne du Maurier. So that sounds good. I'll quickly read the blurb because I may be very confused about what this book is actually about. Twins Jeannie and Julius have always been different from other people. At 51 years old, they still live with their mother Dot in rural isolation and poverty. Inside the walls of their old cottage, they make music, and in the garden they grow and sometimes kill everything they need for sustenance. But when Dot dies suddenly, threats to their livelihood start raining down. Jeannie and Julius would do anything to preserve their small sanctuary against the perils of the outside world, even as their mother's secrets begin to unravel, putting everything they thought they knew about their lives at stake. Unsettled Ground is a heart-stopping novel of betrayal and resilience, love and survival. It's a portrait of life on the fringes of society that explores with dazzling emotional power how we can build our lives on broken foundations and spin light from darkness. It's quite a short read as well. It is 287 pages. I look forward to getting around to this soon. It's kind of one of these ones that's been on my shelf for a while, and sometimes the books on my shelves I'm like, why did I even buy that? Like, what kind of mood was I in to buy that? As well as being a mood reader, I'm a mood spender. Not good for somebody who doesn't have very much money ever, but look, whatever. But this is one of these books that I did buy quite some time ago. There was a bit of hype about it a few years ago, and I'm looking forward to getting around to it now, but it's always been one of those ones in which I was like, I want to read that soon. And hopefully this soon is going to be very soon, as in August 2023. So that is 6 books on my TBR for August, which is quite enough. I did consider doing a women in translation kind of themed month, but you know what, a lot of these kind of themed months I think are great for drawing attention to the different kinds of books that maybe we should be drawing attention to and books that aren't popularized otherwise. But as I said, firstly, I'm a mood reader, and secondly, I champion these books all year round. I'm not going to push something on myself when I'm just not in the mood for it. In saying that, I haven't been reading many translated books lately, so I am kind of hoping to get back to that. But as I've said, I have been reading an awful lot of fantasy lately, and I'm not upset about that at all. Read what you want to read, right? And reading is supposed to be enjoyable, so that's what I'm here for. Anyway, without rambling too much more, I'm gonna leave you to it. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're minding yourself as ever. Hope you've been reading some good books. What have you been reading? What are you hoping to read for August? How's your summer going? Have you had a day without rain anytime lately? I haven't. Most of Europe is on fire, so I mean, I love rain. I'm really grateful for rain, especially given what's happening in mainland Europe. Scary, but I'm getting sidetracked again. Let me know what you're reading, and if you want to find out how I feel about these books, when I do get around to them, give me a little subscribe, and if not, that's okay too. Totally understandable. Hope you're minding yourself, hope you're minding each other. Take care, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.